Now, a Hutch's weather update with Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson, brought to you by Robert Gibb and Sons.
Hello, everybody. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson with an evening look at our weather, not only here but across the region. After a wet day in the northern plains, cold front is knifing its way south and eastward and impacting parts of southern Minnesota with multiple reports of tornadoes that have touched down on the ground. Those storms heading into Iowa. That's where the threat continues. There's other places in the nation with some wild weather. We're going to have a look at all of that. We're going to answer your questions. We're going to talk about what you can expect as we go through the remainder of the week. All of that is up next. Right now on Hutch's Weather, though, we're going to take a look at the regional radar. And it is most active right now in southern Minnesota. So that's where I will take you. And I'll be watching online, as is always the case, on my Facebook feed. You can check that out and pass along your thoughts or questions. Here is a look at where we have a tornado watch in effect in the red counties you see here from Rochester into northeastern parts of Iowa, north of Cedar Rapids and Des Moines, by the way. We have a severe thunderstorm watch in the yellow counties here in parts of Wisconsin, south of Madison, and into the Rockford, Illinois area. Now, as we look at this large area of rain, it makes its way out of Eau Claire and is heading right through and through Rochester. It's through Rochester. There is an active tornado warning in this mixed, and we'll go ahead and show you the details on that. In the Bristol area here, and heading right along the county line, I should say, actually the state line with Iowa, we do have a tornado warned storm. Now, the tornado warning is in effect for the next 13 minutes. It's a radar indicated tornado, but there have been a number of tornadoes that have actually worked their way down to the ground with reports from area spotters. This storm is working its way through Chester and the Lime Springs area right now. I will show you the details on regards to the spin or rotation in the storm from the Chanhassen radar in the Minneapolis area. And we see the greens next to the reds here and up north of Chester, so along this same area. There is a bowing look to this structure here, which would indicate some outflow from the storm. So gusty straight line winds, also a risk with these storms. But an area of rotation right near Lime Springs at this time continues to move off to the east. The National Weather Service says this system is working its way in a general easterly direction, but it's moving at 40 miles per hour. So a timing on that particular cell. We'll put that one, go ahead and turn that off so we can see. The rotating part of the storm moving off to the east at 40 miles per hour. We'll put it in at about 42 to allow for a little bit of speeding up or slowing down of the storms near the Lime Springs area by the time we get to now, and then heading towards Bon Air in about 5 minutes or so. So dangerous storm in the far northern reaches of Iowa, right along the Minnesota border. And here is a very intense echo right here showing up heading into the Bristol area. Let me go ahead and zoom out. Could be intensification of the shear in this storm that's moving into York right now. So keep in mind, anywhere along this, there is a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of southern Minnesota. And the severe thunderstorm warning is for hail up to 3/4 of an inch in diameter. And we could see some 60-mile-per-hour gusts from that particular storm as well. Here's what the normal radar view looks like. These storms, again, working their way up. Winona, seeing showers and thunderstorms moving through. These are very windy storms that are working their way through. Notice we're not seeing a lot of pink or red indicating the hail presence in the storms in southern parts of Minnesota, heading across the state line into Wisconsin, having this linear approach to them, a long line of thunderstorms. And from time to time, we're seeing these backward C shapes here, or bowing segments, that are likely causing some severe weather in those areas in the form of gusty straight line winds. So southern Minnesota seeing some terrible winds with these storms as they work through, and a number of tornado warnings in those areas. Zooming out just a pinch, the tornado warned storm in the Iowa side of the border, some rotating storms on the Minnesota side of that border. Those are continuing to move east at about 40 miles per hour. Gusty winds are accompanying the rest of those particular storms. Now, taking a look at the Storm Prediction Center here, I'm going to load this up on the page for you. And again, if you're just joining me, well, thank you for joining me. Drop me a comment or a question. We're covering some regional weather first, and we'll get to your local forecast here in just a moment. but it's been an active day in southern Minnesota. Now, you will be looking at a map of the Storm Prediction Center with highlights of storm reports from across the nation today. And one interesting item of note is the fact that of the national weather today, we see that the tropical storm off the coast here, causing some tornadic activity off the Carolinas. There was a tornado reported on the eastern edge of the Great Lakes today in upstate New York, and it looks like we have, and that's a rare event, by the way, and then to see numerous tornado reports in southern Minnesota today. Now, here is where they occurred. Generally, taking a look at all of these, Erie, New York had one in the Buffalo area, just 1 mile west of Buffalo, a touchdown there. But we're talking about St. James, Minnesota, not far from there. There were multiple reports by train spotters of a brief tornado. Faribault County in the Winnebago area, 3 miles to the north of there, train spotters capturing a tornado that had made contact with the ground. Janesville in Waseca County having a tornado, as well as other locations in southern Minnesota. And again, those storms are now sneaking down into portions of Iowa. So we can count them: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 reports of tornadoes. Some of them may indeed have been of the same tornado, but by and large, an active day of weather today in southern Minnesota. Back to the radar we go for a quick synopsis of what else is happening across our nation. We have heat warnings. We have also some other advisories in and around the Oklahoma area for air quality. Same thing goes south of Indianapolis. Poor air quality in Louisville, Kentucky, up there with some stagnant air. And then we have the big storm system. This is Tropical Storm Debbie, who has been really causing some terrible and deadly flooding in northern parts of Florida. Now, that flood emergency has been allowed to expire, but we do have storm surge warnings up and down the surge from Brunswick through Savannah, Georgia, all the way up to Charleston. And that storm is going to work its way off of land and back onto ocean water in the southern parts of areas near Jacksonville. As we go through the next 12 hours or so, we actually have some outer bands of the tropical storm that's working its way off land and back over water now that will be inundating the area. Rain is going to be one of the most terrible parts with this particular storm. Tropical Storm Debbie is going to park out here for the better part of not 1, not 2, but up to 3 days, skirting its way from the coastal areas of Georgia right through the Carolinas. And eventually, as we get toward the late weekend, it will start scooting northeastward through the Carolinas and the East Coast. So because it's such a slow mover, terrible amounts of rain are expected, between 1 feet and 2 feet of rain for some areas, particularly centered around the Savannah, Georgia area. So that part of the nation bracing for that kind of weather. Looking for your questions here, and thanks for signing on with Hutch's Weather. Let's take a look at what you have going on here. Thank you very much. Lived in Owatonna for a stint, says Sarah. Brenda says, wow, good to have all of you on board. Thanks for joining me on Hutch's Weather. Now let's get back to our weather in our neck of the woods. What a cool change we had in the Fargo area today as we go ahead and turn on the local radar site here. Well, let me see. Here we go. And we will show you. We did have some showers earlier in the day, but everything has quieted down. Temperatures have rebounded. We're in the mid 60s after spending much of the day in Fargo in the low 60s. It's 65 at Hector International. A lot of rain fell today. Here is a look at some rainfall totals from across our area. Thanks to my friends at the North Dakota Agricultural Weather Network for providing these measurements. But all along the North Dakota border with South Dakota, we had rainfall that totaled up to about a ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch, and some spots in southwest North Dakota picking up much needed rain of over an inch there. Sioux County, Emmons County picking up 1.28 inches, not far from central Emmons County there. And along the border, that heavy rain just continued and enhanced as it moved into the Minnesota side. Look at this. This is Traverse County, 2.7 inches there. To the north a little bit, we did have that Grant County rainfall In central Grant County, 2.6 plus inches of rain. Now look at this, a big old goose egg up there in northern parts of the Red River Valley in northwest Minnesota with just a little bit reported today in Grand Forks. That's 3/100ths of an inch there. All in all, it was a soggy day. More rainfall in the Devil's Lake Basin with Maddock picking up 1800ths today. What's Bismarck's weather for tomorrow? Let's get to the details in the hour-by-hour forecast for that. I'm loading it up right now, so bear with me while we get the idea of what we're expecting as we go through the next 48 hours of weather around here and regionally, so that you in the path of the severe storms tonight can get the latest. Here is your model guidance. Now, over my shoulder here, we have this line of storms working out of Minneapolis. Look how quiet things are in our area. The main concern I have in areas of rain with the cool temperatures that we have here is going to be some areas of dense fog setting up overnight. I do think that that is a legitimate concern across portions of the area. We'll look at that feature here in just a moment, but what we will take a look at as we set the forecast into motion for parts of southern Minnesota. Check this out. These storms that are moving through tonight will continue into the overnight hours and then diminish in their intensity just a bit as they get into the Madison, Wisconsin area, basically in the northern parts of Illinois for the night. For us, we're going to stay quiet as we go through the overnight hours, minus that patchy dense fog. We start the day quiet and sunny, Bismarck included, Brenda. Then as we go through the day, it'll be quiet and sunny in Minneapolis, things quiet down there. A few sprinkles moving into the western part of the Dakotas out of the big sky country of Montana. That's going to work its way in the morning hours. And then as we go into the evening hours for the day tomorrow, I expect a few sprinkles, mainly in South Dakota. Look at that dive south. Now, let me load up another version of this model that goes out just a little bit farther in time, and we'll pick it up from there as we go through our tomorrow evening. So here we go. Storms exiting tonight. South Dakota screamers as we go through the afternoon tomorrow, really swiftly moving through, and we stay quiet here once the fog breaks. But along the Montana border, late at night, storms develop. So the oil patch near Williston, North Dakota, and eastern Montana, all the way from Billings through Miles City and Glendive, strong storms. That could include you in Ekalaka. That's always fun to say, and Baker, Montana as well. Moving into the area of the Black Hills as we go towards midnight. Now, as we go into Wednesday, this energy will work its way into the Red River Valley and the eastern Dakotas. That'll be our next chance of showers. It starts in the morning and lasts throughout the day. Look at this. Passing showers. So if you've begun the harvest in your area, and I know that you have across much of the northern plains here, those grains drying up. This is going to set some things back there as we go through our Wednesday. So a nice break tomorrow with Wednesday showers in your forecast. Let's summarize everything here with Hutch's weather. And this is a look at the snapshot of the northern plains now. So as you take a look, we have temperatures in the morning with some areas of dense fog that will be in the 50s. That's that fog chance, light winds, and a pretty good start to the day in Fargo, 55 degrees. The temperature. Patchy fog, definitely possible, particularly south of Fargo, I think, where we had those heavier amounts of rain on a soggy day. Temperatures rebound for the day tomorrow. The Red River Valley, Grand Forks, Fargo near 80 degrees. Otherwise, a lot of mid-70s out there. Not much wind. And look at the big sky country of Montana, Glendive at 91 degrees. And if you happen to be out in the Sidney, Montana area, 86 there. Williston, 81. Now, check it out as we go through the day in Fargo. We're back up to near 80 degrees. It'll be light wind and it'll be a sunny and swell kind of day. Now, Wednesday's rainfall as we go into Thursday morning looks to pass through the valley from the late morning right into the early overnight hours. We'll have pockets with up to around 3/4 of an inch. Under the gully washers, we could get a little bit more. And in Bismarck, I'm not expecting a lot of rain there. It looks like the better chance will be off to the east, and look at parts of Montana as well, picking up some much needed moisture in those areas as the harvest begins here in fall. Now, your planning forecast for the Fargo area as we go through. It looks like a cool work week, right? With the warmest day being Tuesday, we get a nice little kick in the pants, though, for the weekend ahead, Saturday and Sunday. High and dry, a lot of sunny and dry weather there. But again, our next chance of rain, Wednesday, starting in the late afternoon here in the Red River Valley and into the evening hours. We'll have some swirling north winds that continue to keep a cool pool in place on Thursday as well, so keep that in mind. I am meteorologist Hutch Johnson. It's always a pleasure to have you on board right here. And one of the things I'm excited to announce is the launching of hutchesweather.com. That's my new website. You can always find the latest right there. And please keep my fine sponsors in mind as you're visiting the page. Now, as you go down, you can have your interactive radar here and see what's going on right now in your neck of the woods. My latest video updates are right here. And this is the cool part right here. Photos that you've shared of our recent northern lights. Hey, across the nation, if you're watching on my YouTube channel, we've had some northern lights up here that were spectacular, and some photos uploaded here on the site, including some, well, shooting stars or meteors captured, and some hail that was just redonky-donk up here in parts of the area. This is Wadena, Minnesota, really smack dab in northwest, north central parts of the state, and it was some lumpy hail there. That's some headache hail. So thanks to all of you who have partaken in uploading your photos. You can find the latest right here on Hutch's Weather, and you can find me on YouTube at Hutch's Weather, and follow me on Facebook, Hutch's Weather, Chief Meteorologist. Hope you all have a great Monday evening as we dry out. Watch out for the pesky fog in the northern plains. Severe weather exiting Minnesota now, heading into parts of northeastern Iowa. Your forecast updated right here on Hutch's Weather. For now, have a wonderful evening, and we will talk again, hopefully